let's try. To commentate it. Yo, what's up, Cardstar? What's up? I wanna try to, let's say, live stream my replay of the race we did yesterday, so I don't have to upload my race for about 3 hours. So I'm going to just live stream it, and then YouTube is going to automatically upload it by themselves. Oh, wow. Yo, what's up, guys? What's up, King, DK, Jilby, Sani, and yeah. Okay, where do I begin, basically, if I want to commentate it? Usually, I didn't want to do any of the FI races yesterday anyway, or at all, if I want to show it, because at Friday we did a short practice session with my teammates, and after, yeah, let's say after one practice race just for fun, I was telling myself, hey man, you're not going to do this race, because this race is just full of, if you know what I mean, right? As for the manufacturer's stuff, I hadn't had any motivation to do it at all, because I was thinking, okay, my car isn't going to be that good for this track because of tire wear, but yeah, this is for the manufacturer's car, but I'm going to put it aside. But let's talk about the Nations Cup. Yeah, as I told you guys, I didn't want to do this race at all, but yeah, I had this situation yesterday where I was a little bit bored, if you can say that. Like, I hadn't had to do anything at all. Like, I was asking myself, hey Mikael, what do you want to do right now? Because there's nothing you can do, because I was starting earlier and finished my job. Then, yeah, and then after that, I was bored. So I was thinking about, hey man, I could just do those races tonight just for fun, because I'm not going to do any, I'm not going to get any great points at all. So yeah, for about, let's say, 50 minutes before the race, I was starting to practice for this race a little bit, but then the replay you're seeing here, this is basically the second slot, and yeah, what can I say, basically? Yeah, in qualifying, I did a good lap for that amount of practice I had, basically. Luckily, Jomos gave me some slipstream on the start-finish line though, when I was finishing my lap. For some reason, he didn't back off and just quit it. But yeah, thank you, Jomos. And that put me up to 4th place with my beloved NSX, which is looking gorgeous with that livery. Hehe. But yeah, basically on the first race I did yesterday, I was trying to do a zero stop strategy because I was starting from P10. But as for this race, I was starting at P4, so I was thinking about, okay, we saw from the race earlier that a one stop strategy is definitely faster than a zero stop strategy, no matter how you save your tires in the end. And yeah, so I was kind of like trying, even though with that, having my mind to saving my tires a little bit in the first couple of laps, and then towards the end of my stint, just pushing a little bit more, just to give the guys ahead of me more pressure. Also, with the fuel consumption here, you needed to save, let's say, not that much fuel, like changing your fuel mixture or fuel net like crazy. It was already enough if you were just short shifting a little bit. And yeah, also this track, I think some of you guys saw my tweet earlier, because I didn't want to do this race at all, like I said earlier. And then the reason for that was basically, don't get me wrong, I like this track if it's only for time trial, because it's so thrilling to just nail a single lap here, because if you do one single mistake here and you're basically out. But because of that, I don't like this track at all when it comes down to racing, because you're not quite able to do some risk at this track, because if you do one single mistake, then there may be the case that you make it off the track, running wide, and therefore losing so much seconds or even places. And also, basically, you cannot really overtake anybody at this track unless you've got some really fresher tires than the guy ahead of you. But yeah, as for the pace, surprisingly my pace was pretty good yesterday. Even on the first race where I was trying to do, where I was trying to non-stop that race. And then as you can see, Devil got the pole position on our second slot basically, and therefore also is still leading that race. Martin second, on a third place. Kitchney! Oh man, it was always that close between the qualifying, man, because I was thinking, hey man, hopefully I will stay in the front, but then there was Kitchney. Nope, I will sneak my way in front of you. But then yeah, ahead of us there was, oh man, I need to change that way, right. Thomas with the Audi R8. We both were basically the only two guys driving a car which wasn't the 911 in the end, because everybody else was driving the 911, which was arguably or probably the best car for this round, because how good this car is for the race pace basically. The R8 was probably the fastest car on one lap pace, and as for my NSX, it was basically a good all-rounder, like not the fastest but still pretty okay or decent, I think. And then as you can also see, I was again, not again, but I was managing to close the gap to the guys ahead of us, because yeah, Matu and Kitchney are battling a little bit against each other. Kitchney trying to put some pressure on Matu, I think. But yeah, man, the tire was also a little bit crucial here. Like I was running with -5 for this car because I basically wanted to try and save my rear tires, because in my opinion the rear tire were important for my car for this track basically because of the traction. So I was sacrificing a little bit of the tire wear of my front tires, but then instead I was also trying to drive smoothly. But yeah, at that a moment where I was starting at P4, I was thinking about, hey man, let's just have fun. I mean, P4 is still a good result, and I may not get any great points here anyway, because I haven't really practiced anything for this race basically, or for any FIA race yesterday, including the Manufacturers Cup too. But then yeah, as you can also see, and Thomas was here in our lobby, Jomas, Adam, Manu Rodri, Adam, Carlster, Ork, Tuscan, Matty, who's trying to go for the overtake here. Oh shit! Mate, what you doing? Oh man! Oh man, this wasn't... It was really... How shall I say it? He went for it. But then Georgia also down there. But yeah, let's move on to my point of view basically. Yeah, lap 4. As you can also see at the map, at the top right hander of the screen, you can basically see that behind of let's say Matty and Robbie, there was basically a pretty big gap to the other group of cars behind of them. So at that moment I was thinking about, hey, I may try to go for the undercut, because my tire wear is already that good with the NSX, as I already practiced with it a little bit on the first stint basically. So I may jump the guys ahead of me too. That's what I was thinking basically. But then yeah, yesterday watching Titchley 3, he was having the exact same thought as me. I wonder why. So we both went for the undercut later, which you are going to see. But then as for the tires, yeah, Devil had got the worst tires from all of us. Matu had got, yeah, slightly better front tires than me and Pitchney. And then yeah. So yeah, I was thinking about, okay, let's dive into the pit lane and just change our tires for the undercut. But nope, Martin is doing the same, and unfortunately he hit the barrier there, so I was kind of like pushing him a little bit. And then yeah, at that moment I was thinking about, hey, hopefully that doesn't lead Martin having a much bigger gap than me at the end. Unfortunately he had a little bit, but it wasn't that crucial as I still had the slipstream. So yeah, I was still thinking about, okay, yeah, let's just try to stick with him, just use the slipstream, also saving our tires a little bit for the end of the stint basically, or till the end of the race basically. But then also just trying to undercut all the other guys who were ahead of us. But yeah, luckily we were pretty much spawning in the gap, which we were thinking about, hey man, there was a pretty huge gap between the two groups, or between the two groups basically. So yeah, luckily we jumped inside of the big group and having free air, basically. So yeah, we were able to use the full advantage of our fresh new tires, compared to Devil and Martu, who had got slightly worn tires compared to the two of us. But then yeah, Martu is going to dive into the pit lane, just try to react to our undercut. Yeah, as you can see, Martu was always lucky to jump ahead of the guys who were ahead of us. But then it was always me who had to. But as you can see, I just tried to dive in. But for some reason, Martu just moved to the right hand side, even though I was still there. So yeah, that was the move. It was a pretty crucial one. But yeah, I want to see